So you're getting ready to start your company, and one of the considerations is, will you start it on your own? That's a good possibility that you will start it on your own. Now maybe you're fortunate enough to have someone who would like to help finance the organization, and maybe they'd like to play a role in the organization as well. These are things that you need to consider. And I think one of the most important considerations as you're doing that is, are you equally yoked with this person? Do you have the same values that this person has? How much do you trust this person? It's very important as you start your business and as you're growing your business that you and your team all agree with the vision and the mission, the goals, the values, the attitudes that will take place in your organization. For example, I'll just give you one small example. At Sealund, there is no swearing whatsoever that goes on in our organization. It's not tolerated. If that's really important to you, then you would not want to bring on a team member, or a co-founder, or an advisor, or anyone who, when the chips were down, would swear. So these are things that you really need to take a look at as you understand your values. How important is integrity to you? Integrity is extremely important to me, and trust, in fact, is one of our value statements. So we might have an opportunity to go after an amazing project with some really big dollars tied to it, but if it doesn't meet with our value proposition, and it may question our integrity, then for our organization, it's better for us not to go after that. So when you're making decisions on a team member, make sure that they will agree with your values, if in fact you are the founder. When I started my company, there was no co-founder. I had determined, as I have mentioned before, that I started the company thinking that I was going to be an independent consultant and travel around the world and talk about the values of online training. And within the first month of business, suddenly Verizon gave us a major contract and I had to go out and hire 5 people. So that kind of got answered for me because it was important to us to go ahead and be able to develop and build the online training. So that was a good decision for us to take on that project from Verizon and build training on their fleet tracker system and build online education that would teach their employees and their contractors on their system. So those are decisions that you need to make. If you have a co-founder, you want to make sure that that co-founder will make similar decisions. You know, the interesting thing about being a founder and considering a co-founder, it's almost like a marriage. Often you'll see, most of the time you'll see a husband and wife are opposites, because opposites do attract, but there's more to it than that. Opposites can complement one another. So maybe as the founder, your skills are in designing and developing, not so much on the sales side. Maybe you have a co-founder friend that does have equal values to yours, and they could bring forth the sales side. If you are in that situation, there might be an opportunity for you to consider someone who would co-found the company with you. Just be really careful as you're making decisions on how you're going to do the ownership splits. Because if you're the person with the idea, you really should own 51% of the company. And you need a majority stockholder, a person that the buck does stop there. Co-founding is great, and I know some organizations that have lasted where the split was 50-50. I don't recommend it. And the reason is, I have seen numerous organizations where the split was 50-50, and those organizations do not exist any longer. So these are some things that you need to make the decisions for yourself, but just know that you did hear from me that I would strongly urge you, if you are going to bring on a co-founder, and it is your idea, the company, and the idea that you have for the product or service, that you take on the 51% and make it clear when you write your agreement with your co-founder that you both sign that in fact you are the majority stockholder. You have to go well beyond just who's going to found the company. You will have so many different people that you will need. You will need outside people to support you. Even at the beginning, you will need some attorney or some legal advice and help. And you can go to the internet, but you'll need some help in writing and drafting agreements. Documentation is extremely important in running a successful business. Make sure that as you bring people on board that everything is clearly documented. In fact, I'll give you a simple example. Today we did a video shoot at our company, and we had a contractor on site who was video shot. And basically I asked my assistant to make sure that we had on file a document that this contractor had signed stating that they would agree to be in a video. Because if you don't do things like that, then you could be facing a $50,000, $100,000, $1 million lawsuit that you never dreamt would come your way. So the documentation is very important as you're bringing on team members. Not only will you possibly have a co-founder, possibly have a salesperson, possibly have development people and other people for your organization. As you bring on each one, make sure that you have everything well documented. Make sure as you're interviewing them that they understand your vision, your mission, your values, and how you're running your organization. And make sure that they agree to operate in a similar fashion. Another group that you might want to consider having is a board of directors. We have a board of directors at Sealund & Associates. Our board is an advisory board. And basically what that means is we meet annually and we share our financial reports, we share our sales forecast and projections, and basically we get advice from this board of directors to help us and guide us and perhaps help us see things that we could not see. As you well know, when you're in the forest, sometimes it's really difficult to see the trees. Well, this board of directors or advisory board will help you to see things that you may not have otherwise seen. We also have quarterly conference calls, and we have set up subcommittees. And our board helps us throughout the entire year. And then we have our annual meeting, and we document our annual meeting, and those minutes are put in a published document that are available to the state of Florida should they audit us. And these are things that you really need to consider. As you're bringing on your board of directors, be wise about who you bring on. Make sure that you've done your due diligence. And I would suggest that you bring people on slowly. Don't try to have a board of 5 or 10 people right away. Bring on 1 or 2 trusted friends, people that will be very honest with you and very straight with you, and let you know if in their opinion that you're going down a wrong path, or that perhaps you're missing your focus, or perhaps you're not following your vision and mission statement. And they'll be able to tell you because they're not in the forest as you are doing the day in and day out business. So I really encourage you to seek advice, seek help. The Bible says, he who seeks many advisors is a wise man or a woman. My best advisor is God, and that's where I get the majority of my help. But I also try to be very wise and use my board of directors to help us. I also bring on independent consultants from time to time. And even when I do that, I do it slowly. I start off with a very small project for these independent consultants, and if they do a good job, then I'll give them a larger project. I didn't always do it that way, and I lost a lot of money. So I want to encourage you to start everything small and work your way up.